Mr. Bolt, I had a comment about the anti-harassment policy.
Yes, ma'am.
Could I address it this time? This is something that actually came up yesterday. I attended the Special Education Advisory Panel Committee meeting in Montgomery, and it was a half-day thing. Very interesting. There were about 16 committee members on this panel, and the public was allowed to address. There were maybe 20, 25 members of the public, and the bullying of special education students came up over and over again. And there were a lot of tears shed in that room, and one of the students was actually there. Parents who were very concerned about the lack of sensitivity of general education students, for lack of a better word, towards special education students. And it was something that Nancy Anderson, who is the senior attorney with ADAP, the Alabama Disabilities Advocacy Program, spoke to the group about these anti-harassment policies and how the legislature had passed this law that said each district must develop specifically an anti-harassment, and suggested that families of children with disabilities serve on committees to policy that has sent out these sort of model template policies, but that they were basically templates, and that they didn't necessarily get to the heart of what especially the special education students were suffering in the classroom. And in all schools, which were thrown out yesterday, of 80% of special needs bullied at one point or classroom. Special education students account for 50% of the bullying that goes on in school. Special education, they account for less than the population. And I'll be going into details. Been some events I'm interested that point to the real specific need for Hoover City Schools to develop a very targeted policy towards that specifically talks about bullying special education students. We don't want any harassment of any students, but our special education students are particularly vulnerable to this type of bullying. Sometimes just through plain ignorance. You know, general education students don't understand that it's really not okay to make an autistic child howl out in the lunchroom. You know, think that they're just playing, but really ends up the autistic child gets in trouble, so forth and so on. So I would urge you to, in the month that you have to review this before it comes up at the July or whenever, I think the policy has to be in effect by July 1, was what we were told yesterday. But to maybe seek some input. Our newly formed group, our Community Outreach Special Education PTA, I know Paulette Pearson attended the organizational meeting. There were families from across this area, from Helena to Fultondale to Pelham to Trussville to Mountain Brook to Vestavia, families who would be more than willing to share their experiences. That's what hurt and what happened in the prevention of or training for children in school, the need to be careful, sensitive, whatever, about children with disabilities. So I urge you to please, before we just sort of adopt and then it's there, let's put some real thought into it. I know the AASB has, and I know that the ALSDE has, but specifically targeted towards our special education population would be much appreciated. As the aunt of a child who is being served by special education here in Hoover City Schools, I particularly personally plead with you to take that action. Thank you.
Is that not in here? Okay.
So it's proposed policy on the website. Yeah. It will be.
And we're just getting this first time tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Right. That'd be great. Just know what Nancy Anderson was suggesting was actually to have, you know, like we have with our digital citizenship task group, get folks together to talk about this. Sometimes not as simple as one sentence can cover it. Maybe in an informal way. Maybe we have lunch. I put you together, the group or something, you know.
Read over this.
Okay.
And if you will voice any concerns, comments, I will be happy to take them to my fellow committee.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Part of this, where we have placed our policy, for lack of a better word, is in our student code of conduct, of which we did go through a process developable.
We want to make sure that the policy is, and we want to be very careful that we're not pointing one specific population in a policy. We want it to apply to bullying in general, harassment in general. In code of conduct, it's more specific, and the consequences are spelled out much more detailed information in the code of conduct. This policy, though, we don't want to get into individual subject because then you kind of lock yourself. And if you look at the very last paragraph of that, the sickness is not prohibited in terms of information in that policy, but it still doesn't cover it. We are trying very much policy manuals to not get into specific language, but include it in the policy panel. So we put last paragraph in to make sure we're on. And anti-harassment, bullying applies to every student. We simply speak about it should the policy for every population of students that we have going through our doors in our schools.
Well, Ms. Barber, you make a very good point. Perhaps we'll appreciate this proposed addition to the board's opinion. It's not anything to do with our code of conduct for our student population. Those are two separate things. So. But thank you for your comments, Ms. Crane. We do invite your input and suggestions, and that those from anyone else as well.
Thank you.
Anything else on the proposed policy? The issue? Great. Anything else? New business on tonight? Not. The next will be Monday, July the 12th, here at 5:30. The Secretary of the Board has previously sent out a list of our meeting dates starting in August of the coming year. And as happens from time to time, conflicts arise among board members. So we have changed the August board meeting, and it will be Monday, the 2nd of August. And the November board meeting will be Thursday, the 4th of November. And Mary just sent out a new email with those changes to everyone as well. And if there's nothing else, we will be adjourned. See you next month. Thanks for being here.